Welcome to the Steve TV show here at a place called Live Oak, Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I've been coming here since I was 8. I actually stayed up for the first night ever when I was helping my dad out at the Live Oak Festival. So I love being here.
So what are you, like 12 now or something?
Yeah, pretty much. It was in the 90s, and now I'm still 12. And but no, being here at Lucidity, being inside the TV, Steve, we're super happy to come here, with Reliquary and talk about our NFT scavenger hunt, and also talk about some block explorer, regenerative crypto economics. I hear you're a little skeptic.
Can you say that again in English, please?
Yeah, regenerative crypto economics.
It's called taking the green pill. You know, there's a lot of pills being taken here, but the green pill is about public goods. It means funding things that we all use, like clean air, nice oak trees that we're all enjoying. This is our public goods, and we can use crypto to help preserve them and regenerate them.
See, that's the part I'm really confused about. Call me old-fashioned. It's taken me this long just to get used to the internet, and now you young whippersnappers come along with this fancy crypto thing. I'm still confused. So you mine a concept? I mean, because there's I don't know how mining is involved, and I'm completely confused.
That's a good question. We could go down that. I mean, people have been doing cryptographic technology for decades, right, for security. And some things are sacrificed for security. So Bitcoin has made a lot of sacrifices in terms of energy consumption to be a very secure store of wealth, right? But there's other blockchains that are not mining. They're doing staking. And that's actually 99.7% less energy than Bitcoin mining. So there are a lot of energy sustainable blockchains out there. So not every blockchain is created equal too. So that's something to think about.
But what is
Not all crypto is the same.
Okay.
That's the key concept to understand. Not everything is like Bitcoin.
There are a lot of scams out there, unfortunately, just like life. People will try to scam you, but there are legitimate projects, which we try to focus on our podcast to host people and protocols doing a regenerative sustainability with crypto. So because the blockchain is this public ledger, it's all open and verifiable for everyone to look at. So if you put climate data and carbon offsets, CO2 offset tokens on the blockchain, it's verified for everyone to see.
So it's kind of an elaborate spreadsheet or some sort, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes, blockchains are public distributed ledgers. It's a fancy word for a spreadsheet that everyone can look at. It's the permissionless. Anyone can put data on it, and anyone can look at it. Etherscan.io, you can look at everyone's wallet address, and there's actually Twitter accounts that follow people like Snoop Dogg's wallet address, so you can see all the NFTs that Snoop Dogg has bought. And he goes by Cosmo de Medici. He had a Twitter account, and he was buying a bunch of really expensive NFTs and tweeting about it, and no one knew who this massive NFT connoisseur was. And then he finally came out and said, oh yeah, by the way, Snoop Dogg, yeah, I'm Cosmo de Medici. I'm the big NFT guy. So now people look at people's different wallets, and you can go look at Elon Musk's wallet if you want. You can see how many Bitcoins he has or Dogecoins he's got.
But isn't there some kind of risk of a security breach? How is that secure information or?
Well, a lot of it is public.
Secure. It's secure in that it's encrypted, but it's not private, right? So there's a difference between anonymity and privacy. You might have a wallet address is just a bunch of string of letters and numbers, a crypto wallet, and so it's hard to see. You don't actually know whose that is. But then if you do a transaction that goes to your Coinbase or any kind of doxed account, any kind of account you have that links to your bank account, then it's pretty easy to figure out whose it is. So there's a whole industry based around blockchain forensics, so they can figure out, who owns what wallet. You can make very smart, educated guesses, and this is why crypto is very bad for illicit activities. This is why crypto is very bad for avoiding sanctions.
Makes sense.
It's actually the worst thing to use if you want to be secret, because it's all public distributed ledger technology. Public's the first word. So
yeah, cash money is way better at doing shady things. We were joking the other day with our partner, and he's like, if someone came to the U.S. Senate and we have this really good idea for cash, it's gonna be this paper, and it's gonna be untraceable.
You can move it across borders and no one knows.
No one knows about cash.
You
The
can pay
government would
anyone
not
anything.
let you have cash
If you
now.
brought up the idea of cash in Congress, and you're like, hey, okay, Congress, we're going to introduce this new bill. It's going to be like this new payment system. They would never pass it right now because they want to see everything that you do, because economic freedom is political freedom. You can't separate them. If you want to be able to be free, you need to be able to transact freely.
Amen.
Well, that's a good slogan.
We're on the Sunday crypto gospel. But another really cool
Amen,
thing.
brother.
Another really cool thing is once you put it on the blockchain, you can't take it down. So we had a guest on our podcast, Batty Chow, and he's a Chinese protest artist, and he did a bunch of NFTs in protest of the Beijing Olympics. And once they're minted and they're on the blockchain, it's like a record of protest. And he's using NFTs. You know, he exiled himself from China and is living in Australia now, and left his family and his home to protest the dictatorship, CCP.
Yeah, sometimes the NFT makes me even more confused. This whole, when did the NFT thing get started?
It got started in 2017 with crypto kitties. There was cats. People were trying to make, there was a group of people who saw blockchain happening, and they're like, you know what? Blockchain's cool, but it's too serious. It's kind of dry. And they're like, well, how do we make this fun? And of course, it's the internet, and we got cats, right? Everyone loves cats. Everyone loves cats on the internet. So let's make some crypto kitties. And it actually broke Ethereum because they went to this conference and they started showing people their cats. And at first they were just like a couple bucks, and then next thing you know, they were selling for like thousands of dollars on Ethereum, and it actually like made so much traffic on Ethereum at the time. This is 5 years ago. And it clogged the blockchain, and you had all these like really like important people like calling this like studio that created the crypto kitties and getting mad at them and being like, you guys broke Ethereum with cats. So, but now NFTs are cool. Now we have the the Bored Ape Yacht Club. You probably heard of that, selling for like $500,000, and Justin Bieber's got one and all that. But NFTs are really a technology. That's what you have to understand. It's a way to packet information. It's like putting any kind of digital asset in a backpack, and then you can take that backpack and make it a Lego you can use across the internet.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And it's a way to wrap any file format. Audio, visual, movie, anything can be an NFT, and it's like a cryptographic way to show ownership. You can have a smart contract built into it, which is what makes Ethereum different than Bitcoin. So the whole aspect of smart contracts where you can program, Bitcoin doesn't really have this. So Bitcoin is just like gold, right? People call it like digital gold. But these other
Which sounds like a bit of an oxymoron somehow.
Right? Yeah. But there's
But why is gold valuable? It's just a rock. It's only valuable because we assign value to it.
But it's physical.
It's physical, but the value.
It's scarce.
Bitcoin is scarce too. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever available.
Ever. And so, but with like Ethereum, you can.
Well, let me go back to you for a quick. What, is that an arbitrary numerical?
It got programmed into it.
Programmed into
every like 4 years, it diminishes its output of.
So it increases in value. Because, an old timer, it sounds like nothing based on nothing, creating tremendous value.
Isn't that what money is? It's just a meme. It's memes all the way down. Money's a meme. They're all imagined realities, but they work because we're humans and we coordinate with them.
But I always thought money was also based on industrial productive capacity of an individual country. And so this is what we can produce, this is what we can do.
Well, in the military, right?
Has value.
The military, right?
But I'm just an artist, I'm an artist.
There's a difference between money and currency. Money is actual value. Currency is the promise of money. Like your dollar is currency. It was backed by gold until 1971, until Nixon took us off the gold standard. Now we have fiat currency. Fiat means promise.
Right.
We promise this is worth something. Well, okay. Well, we promise. We had what's our inflation at right now?
We got a really big military. It's worth this. Just listen to us. But going back to the smart contracts, you can program in values to the money. So that's where like the regenerative crypto comes in, because it's called refi, right? So you can do regenerative finance because built into the code, you can put values of sustainability.
But can't somebody just rewrite the code at a later date? 10, 20 years down the road?
They can add new options. Like it's like someone creating a new app and adding it to the app store. You can do that, but people will gravitate towards the things that work, right? The best ideas win. And so if people want to support these kind of values of regenerative finance, public goods, taking care of the earth. Imagine just every time you swipe your Visa card, it also planted a tree. That's what
that would be a great
regenerative
idea.
finance can do.
We'd support that.
Yeah, and there's some cool protocols on the blockchain. So that there's an NFT protocol where it's an NFT that lives in your wallet and it offsets every crypto transaction. And that's why, you know, we're in it because we see those silver linings. And by the way, we're here for the Lucidity NFT treasure hunt to enter the multiverse. So we want to tell people come to the Reliquary Lounge to learn more. But we're helping folks come into the Lucid multiverse. Lucidity is doing the kindred spirits and doing a pretty cool scavenger hunt all over the world with this NFT project. So that's another aspect. We love what it can do for artists. NFTs unlock ownership for digital artists, for musicians. It allows them to actually, you know, have value in what they create and be able to monetize that a lot more easily.
What NFTs create is ownership and control over your digital assets. And we live in a digital world, and we have a lot of amazing artists that are making a lot of value, and people are enjoying that value, but it's very hard for a lot of artists to capture that value. And what NFTs do is they unlock new business models for all kinds of artists, not just visual artists. Right now, NFTs, there's the whole profile picture PFP movement, but there's also music NFTs, video NFTs, writing. There's like, you know, any kind of asset can become an NFT. It's just a technology, just like a JPEG. It's a file format. It's not necessarily just a picture. It's not a JPEG. And what that does is it creates new ways for artists to flourish, and that's why we like NFTs.
Well, what now, for instance, what would this mighty zenith be worth in the NFT universe? Does it have any value?
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm asking for a friend.
I feel like I'm in the metaverse, so
well,
you
this
could
is
definitely.
because I always like to point out, you are our television. We're watching you, watching us. Oh, there you go. I broke the fourth wall. But no, but would this vehicle itself have a value in the NFT universe?
Well, they do talk about like deeds and vehicle titles going on the blockchain.
Don't mention that.
That sounds fun.
And don't mention my insurance company, by the way.
Oh yeah, but I've always wanted to say Pussy on TV. Pussy Riot.
I love Pussy Riot. One of my favorite bands.
Yeah, so they did a protest NFT project to help the LGBTQ community in Russia, and then they've been doing stuff with the Ukraine protests. So directly using NFTs as protest art and fundraising for these really incredible projects.
Well, that's the other thing. I know I'm a little hungover and exhausted out here in the sun at the park. Help an old timer out. I'm still not sure how evaluation occurs. Who determines that? I saw the other day an NFT for $500,000 for something ridiculous like this.
It's all memes, right?
Yeah.
It's all memes.
I mean, how does it? Who determines that valuation? So I guess that's what I find confusing as an old timer.
Well, you know what? Value is all created by the market with NFTs.
Okay,
So there's no top-down, command center here that's saying this is worth this much. Obviously, there's a new project that can set their prices for their initial release, or if you're an artist and you make an NFT, you can set the price that you want to sell it at. But for a lot of those NFTs that you're talking about that are selling at those price points, that's just the market commanding it because there's enough cultural significance. And that's the thing, a lot of people, it's a social signifier. So, a lot of people, they might buy a Rolex or they might buy a Ferrari, to kind of flaunt their wealth. I mean, I know not a lot of people here you might buy a really freaking cool hat with lots of cool feathers or something to peacock around. But the thing is, we're humans, we're sapiens, we social signal. That's who we are. We're here. We're all socially signaling here, and it's awesome. And that's what makes part of this so fun.
These social signals took like a decade. I mean, people were doing illicit, weird things with Bitcoin in 2009 for 10 Bitcoin for whatever bag of whatever, and that's now like the most expensive transaction ever, right? So, and now it's worth 40 grand per Bitcoin. So we've seen that over time there's this greater acceptance because what you were mentioning earlier, there actually is energy. There's work going into Bitcoin because of the cryptographic security technologies. There's mining hash power. There's energy power required. So that energy power can be looked at as like the input of what is storing that value. And thankfully, you know, China just outlawed Bitcoin mining, all crypto mining like 6 months ago. All that mining that was mostly being done on coal, a lot of it came to the United States where it's a little bit more solar and a little bit more renewable energy. But you're right, mining takes a lot of energy, and luckily most all other blockchains are moving towards a more sustainable, less energy intensive way.
Cash, that's awesome. I love that you said that. I love that, you know, people think that like all crypto is the same, and proof of work, which is like solving a really hard math problem, and that takes a lot of GPUs, and that's why you see like those warehouses full of computers, like, you know, doing that stuff. Or proof of stake, which is POS. It's just a way of kind of contributing your value to the chain, like saying, it's kind of like putting in a deposit and saying, okay, I put in this much money to prove that I'm not going to be fraudulent. And if you are fraudulent, they just take your deposit. And that's proof of stake. So it's not solving a big math problem. It's just like trust and confidence, exactamundo. So, but I did want to touch on just one thing before. So the social signaling thing, if you have a Rolex or Ferrari or whatever like you want to do for your social signaling, or a really cool feather hat, the only people you can signal with that with is the people in your immediate physical location, right? But now we live in this digital world after COVID. Everyone's on Zoom, everyone's on their computer and their phone. Even my grandmother got better at using email, you know, during COVID. So the thing is, we're kind of more in this like digital substrate, and people want to show their identity and they want to show their culture. And your profile picture on Twitter, your profile picture on Facebook or on Instagram or on TikTok, whatever, that's your new way of kind of like being you. So that's why people are spending this much money on NFTs, because they want to express themselves. And you know what? Like, imagine this. You can show your cool whatever you have to the people around you, just whatever time they have, or you can have 24/7, 365 to every person in the world and show who you are. And that's why NFTs matters, because they're a cultural investment.
Yeah, well, we had a guest on our podcast recently from NF Trees and NF Treehouse, where they're actively planting a tree in East LA for every NFT sold. So that's a cool, you know, people are trying to do that in real life with an NFT. So that's like what you asked about this. We can make an NFT to commemorate this moment or something, and this happened to commemorate that. And that's a lot of what we're doing here at the Reliquary and with the Lucidity Multiverses. You know, you participate in this treasure hunt, and then it's commemorating an event, or you're getting this NFT and it's planting a tree, or there's protocols out there that are actively sequestering carbon, like literally reducing our carbon in the world and being regenerative, not just like status quo offsetting what you do, but actively regenerating. And that's what's really cool about some of the blockchain technology.
Now is this treasure hunt happening here today, or is this a future? Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's been happening the last 2 days. Okay. We've had over 100 people participating and getting up there now. And
we've had a few participants win merch, festival tickets for next year, the Lucidity NFTs. So there's a lot of people scoring some really good stuff. So you should definitely, you know, get involved. If you're not in the treasure hunt, we can talk to us after the show. Go to our Reliquary Lounge. It's at the main stage to the left side, and it's called Reliquary, and we'll get you hooked up.
But yeah, Steve, we'll send you our second podcast episode. Is like, what is money? And I'd love to have another conversation with you later about that, because it really is an interesting conversation. Like, what do we assign value to, and what do we want to, you know, put our energy into? And crypto allows you to be really specific with that.
I'm very bad at numbers and money, and I managed to cobble all this together and drive it around, but it bankrupts me almost every time I move it.
I think crypto could solve. I think crypto could solve that, Steve. Yeah, we should make you some NFTs. Let's make Steve some NFTs. Yeah.
NFTs.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
NFTs. Yeah, great. NFTV. Yes. This is a non-fungible television.
Well, television is sort of a state of mind. The battle for the minds of North America would be fought in the video arena, the great Videodrome. And so part of our inspiration for this whole concept was to reinvent the broadcast medium in a sense.
Yeah, no, and I love, and that's
In a
why
very low tech way.
and that's why we love it. And what Colin mentioned is taking the green pill, the Matrix reference of like taking the green pill of regenerative crypto. Like we can solve the climate crisis and humanitarian. 1 billion people in the world are unbanked, do not have access to banking financial services because they can't keep $50 in a reserve checking account, whatever. But
Well, that sounds like me.
crypto allows for finance for everyone.
All you need to get a crypto wallet is an email address. It doesn't ask you your name, your age, your color, your creed, your sexual orientation. You don't need, that's the thing. You 12-year-olds can get a crypto bank account. All you need is just an address. So it's financial inclusion, like he said. So that's what's cool. It's like we can have our cake and eat it too. I know it sounds too good to be true.
That sounds like too good to be true to
Well,
buy
that's
here.
the thing. You know what? You got to believe in something. And we're here.
Okay.
We're here dreamers.
I want to
lucid
have
dreamers,
faith.
right?
I want to have faith, but
Yes.
I remember the 80s, and I'm still kind of like, it reminds me of the pyramid schemes back in my youth. And
People talked about Bitcoin as a pyramid scheme, but it's like a 12, 14-year-old pyramid scheme.
I think it's
mean,
just because it's
El Salvador accepts it as legal tender.
Is that still working?
Oh yeah,
I
no,
heard when they
actually, you know what?
started
So we were getting ready for the show this morning, taking a shower and talking about the show.
Showered?
We showered this morning.
Oh,
Together?
nice.
No.
Yeah, we were right next to each other. But we met this incredible guy who had just gotten back from El Salvador, and he had a media pass, and he was telling us that he went down there. Hey, you're here, brother man.
He's
Yes.
right there.
He's right here.
That's our guy. And maybe you want to come up and say hi, but
Welcome to join the
I'll
show.
recount the story.
Break the fourth wall.
Essentially, went to El Salvador and actively saw people using Bitcoin as an exchange and storing their value, and then we talked about how the U.S. monetary policy is dictating El Salvador's monetary policy.
Because El Salvador's dollar is pegged to the U.S. dollar, and El Salvador is looking at U.S. inflation and I don't know if we want to be part of that inflation.
Yeah,
So-
well, 7% inflation, but they didn't get any of that stimulus money. But they're still relying on that. with
Yeah,
their
so they didn't get
economics.
any of the fun, and they got all of the hurt. So that's the thing with these smaller countries. They look at the options. They look at China and they look at U.S. and they're like, do we want to be part of the China economy and do the yuan thing, or they look at the U.S. and want to be part of the Western NATO alliance economy and that inflation and all that. And a lot of these smaller countries are like, we're going to choose neither, and we're going to just go crypto. And they're just leapfrogging the economy and the finance. They're a lot of these smaller countries are going to beat us because they understand that there's a better option, and and they have nothing to lose. That's the thing too, right? Like El Salvador has nothing to lose by adopting Bitcoin. They're already a small country with very little power economically. So why not try it?
All right, why not?
Why not try it?
Why not give it a try? I know. The thing is, a lot of this crypto is an experiment, right? We're here doing the reliquary. It's an experiment. By the way, this is the first music festival that's ever had a crypto NFT scavenger hunt at it. That's how cool Lucidity is. No one's even done a NFT scavenger hunt at a festival before. So it's all new. It's all new stuff.
Nice.
So thank you for Lucidity for taking a risk, right? That's what people are here. We're here to dream and experiment with stuff in this safe environment with good vibes and people who support us. And that's what's cool. Is this is what births new ideas and art and creativity, just like your project and with Steve TV. So that's what's beautiful about this community, is that you need people who have imagination. And that's the thing, is people look at crypto, they look at blockchain now, and they see what it is now, and the user experience is kind of clunky, and there's some scams, and blah, blah, blah. But if you can imagine what it could be in a few years, and you have some imagination, it could be really incredible. And that's what like most people are here that are believe in crypto have in common, is they have imagination. And that's what we want our leadership to understand. That's what we want people to understand, is that you just can't look at it what it is now. You have to look at what it could be. And if you looked at the internet in 1991, it was a joke, right? You're like, takes 5 minutes to connect and it takes 5 minutes to download a page. But now look, everyone, like, you don't even think when you use the internet. There was a moment, right, Cash? Like, do you remember, like, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go use the internet. Like, Cash and I are like, we're like elder millennials, so we remember.
Dial up, yeah.
Well, a photograph was an hour.
Yeah, so the
Well, and
experience
then
sucked.
We
but-
talk about skeuomorphism and non-skeuomorphic. So like the idea that the technology allows something to exist that can never even be thought about before. So when the early internet existed, it was like an
It
encyclopedia.
was like reading Time magazine on a web
People
page, right?
just
They would literally
scanned
just
it,
scan,
put
like
it on
they would
there.
just put a digital version of the New York Times on, like exactly how it looks, right? Because when humans, we're humans, right? And we have a new medium, a new technology. It unlocks so much possibilities, but it's like that blank page kind of dilemma where you're staring at an empty page, and it's almost like too much of a possibility to understand. So we just take what we know before and kind of apply it to the new medium. That's the early internet. And so there's a really smart person, Chris Dixon. He's a crypto investor at A16Z. They're a big leadership company. Anyway, he says Web 1 was read. Web 2, read and write, right? Because now we had Web 2 is like social media, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram. And now you can create content. YouTube, right? You're reading the content, you can consume content, and you're also permissionless to create content. Web 3, read, write, own. So now you can also own your data. Imagine every post that you post on Instagram is a picture that you own the data of, and you could sell that picture if you wanted. You could sell your tweet if you wanted. It's called decentralized social media, DeSo, and that's gonna be happening too. You own your data, and you know what? If you don't like the platform, you can take your data and you can leave. And you can take your followers with you. You can take your IP with you, right? Instead of Instagram and Mark Zuckerberg getting all the value that we're creating with all our creativity, you, us, the community gets the value. Crypto isn't here to make you rich, it's here to set you free.
Very nice. I got a round of applause.
Oh, good, sir. The data part is interesting too, actually. On the regenerative crypto side, we just had a interview with the Athena protocol, and they're doing like the Internet of Natural Things, Internet of Things, little tiny sensors and everything, and they're capturing climate data, sustainability metrics, how healthy is the soil, how much carbon is it sequestering, all, you know, what's the pH, all this data that can then be leveraged by these regenerative farmers to sell. They can sell this data of how they're regenerating the land and be able to then have an extra bit of living on top of their regenerative farming.
And this is happening now in Australia. There's a bunch of cattle ranchers that are doing regenerative cattle ranching. So it's a special, very specific way of how you rotate the cattle on the land that actually brings the soil levels up, and you have boots on the ground that measure soil samples, and you have satellite imagery. So that's the thing too, is like, if we're going to invest in this stuff, right, you want to be able to verify it. And the carbon market right now is very obfuscated. It's very ambiguous. Not all carbon credits are the same. You have, like, you know, China like hooks up like a little filter to a coal mining plant and says it's a carbon credit, and that's a joke. Versus like people that are in the Serengeti rebuilding the grasslands, that's a premium carbon credit. And so what we need is transparency with this stuff, so we can really give the value to the people that are actually making real impact, rather than just like having this like weird like gray area where it's really hard to figure out what's what.
Amen. Crypto church.
It's Sunday morning. We're getting crypto soulful right
Preach that gospel.
I like crypto soulful. Have you ever used that phrase before?
No, that's brand new. That's brand new. That's for you.
You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe we should start a new podcast on Sunday mornings, Cash, where you just like preach crypto gospel.
Yeah, don't we do that every day on the podcast?
That is every day. That's air day. That's air day, sir.
Well, I'm a bit overwhelmed because, like I said, I was up almost all night, but it sounds really, really good.
Well, you know, Steve, I appreciate what you just said, because I agree with you. I am overwhelmed too. There's so much to understand here, and it's definitely overwhelming at times. It's definitely, there's a lot to unpack, and that's why you got to take it in bite-sized pieces and you got to chew on it for a little while. But the thing is, it's important for all of us to explore this stuff, because what's cool is that what crypto is doing is making us ask the questions that we usually don't ask. Like, we were just born into this world with this financial system. We just accept what we're given, and we accept that, okay, this is how money works, and blah, blah, blah. But we never actually question, what is money? Why does the money system work this? Why do we have the Federal Reserve? Why do we pay so much attention to some old guy who's like, I'm gonna raise interest rates, and he like moves the markets? Like, Why is it like that?
Yeah,
it doesn't always. Was it always like that? No.
The founding
Does it have to
fathers
be like
didn't do that.
No.
The
And
Constitution wasn't that.
paper money is like only 100 years old, by the way. You know, we used to use seashells, we used to use sticks, we used to use chickens. So, you know, like money has always changed. Money is a concept, the physical manifestation, or now we're moving beyond the physical manifestation to the digital manifestation because we live in a digital world. So now we have a digital version of money. And so it makes sense for money to evolve. And these are like, what is finance and what is banking and who should be allowed access to finance, right? Should it be just the people who have over $1 million that are accredited investors or make over 250 grand a year?
Accredited.
Why is it like only a million people who are millionaires already get to become more rich, and people who want to invest in if I want to invest in a private company before it goes to the stock market, if you have less than $1 million, you're not allowed to. Why? Right? Why are the rules like this? And so what's cool about all of this stuff is it's just making people ask these questions. And many of us, it's like hard to understand, but you know what? It's important to understand because, you know, like I said before, you know, you can't separate financial freedom from political freedom. If the government restricts your ability to transact, right? Okay, you can't buy anything that leads to Lucidity Festival's bank account. Well, then none of us can come to Lucidity, right? They could just do that. That could happen. We saw it happen in Canada, you know? So, I mean, whatever you want to do say about the trucker protests, what's significant in the fact is that the central government sanctioned regular people's bank accounts because they were donating money to something, right? And what, you know, right now, maybe you didn't believe in that cause while they were protesting, that's fine. What if it's a cause you actually really care about? You know, and that's the Fourth Amendment. That's your freedom to assemble, right? That's the Bill of Rights. And so this is really significant. This is our freedom. Money and the ability to understand how we use money is our freedom. And if the government can control how you spend your money, then it can control your life. And this is why we need to talk about this stuff.
Nice.
Well said, brother.
Well, what helped me a little bit was your using the internet valuation as an analogy. Internet 1, 2, 3. and so
Yeah,
on.
there's a bunch of protocol internet. There's like over 100 internet protocols, and now we just have like 5 HTTP, HTTPS, all those. But there's a bunch to start, and that's how like blockchains will kind of be seen as. In 50 years, we'll just have a few.
Yeah, so I mean, right now it's like it's early days, right? It's very early still. People think, oh man, I'm getting into crypto. I'm so late. I already missed. Bitcoin already went from this to this, and Ethereum this, and Solana this, and they look at this ecosystem, but it's still really early. And what's cool is it's making the internet weird again, right? Because right now the internet, speaking of TV, Steve, the internet right now is like 5 channels, right? You got the Google channel, you got the Facebook channel, or the Meta channel now. You got the Amazon channel, you got the Netflix channel. Like seriously, that's it, right? You got like 4 channels. It's like TV in 1972. But now with blockchain and Web3, you don't need permission to do stuff. We're making a new substrate, a new layer, a new building block. It's like Live Oak Campground. That's Ethereum. It's empty, and anyone can come here and build whatever they want on it and create stuff.
Yeah, so you made me think about the Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis,
Stoner cats?
Stoner Cats.
Are you talking because you want to get stoned? Is it too long?
I didn't bring anything on stage. But it was a digital animation show, comedy, totally funded by the sale of NFTs. And then it's outside of any studio control. It has full creative control by the artist. And they can say and do whatever they want. And they've been making some hilarious shows about stoned cats and this super sweet old lady.
Censorship resistant, right? That's another thing, right? Freedom of speech, First Amendment, that's important, right? Well, imagine if look, we've seen this play out how many times in the past year? Someone's on some famous person on some social media platform does something, and that social media platform bans them. And it's happened on, and they get canceled and blah, blah, blah. You know what, like, say what you want about whichever celebrity you want to talk about, like, but the fact that social media platforms can just cancel you and, like, that people have livelihoods based on this.
Well, how about the Instagram handle, this lady named Meta just got her Instagram taken.
She got it rugged.
When
She got
Facebook,
sucked.
yeah, when Facebook was like, oh, we're Meta now.
We're Meta now, so
Yeah.
you have your Instagram handles Metaverse, and they just took it. They literally just took it. Someone was like, oh man, you're gonna make so much money because Facebook's gonna buy that handle from you. And no, Facebook didn't even offer any money. They just took her Instagram handle because it's theirs. You don't own your YouTube followers, your Twitter followers. If you're a YouTuber, YouTube, you know, their model, they take like 50%, 30% of some of the revenue from some of these people. What if they just change the rules? Like, okay, we're doing 50% now, what if they did 90%? They can do that and you have no recourse. Right? So this is important. You want to own your own stuff. That's what Web 3 does. Web 1, read, just consume. Web 2, consume and create, read and write. Web 3, read, write, own. Our data is ours. We should be able to control what we do with it. We should be able to capitalize on the value. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they've all made billions and billions of dollars off of our data. And where is that value? It's in Zuckerberg's wallet. It's in Jeff Bezos' wallet. It's not in the users. What Web3 does is it decentralizes the value. It pushes the value to the edges and gets rid of the middlemen, the intermediaries that just sit there and take rent. And a lot of times the most rent-seeking industries are the ones going to be most disrupted by blockchain. It's eating the internet. It already ate finance. It's eating art with NFTs. It's eating music. And music, speaking of, because we're at a music festival, that's one of the ones that has the most rent-seeking dinosaurs just globbering up all this value. I mean, the gaming industry has over $200 billion of revenue a year. Music industry, only $38 billion. You know why? Because the industry hasn't allowed to be innovative because they have just a bunch of lawyers just blocking musicians from doing what they really want to do and taking all the money. How is music only a $38 billion industry a year? That's ridiculous. But gaming's been allowed to evolve.
Well, what do you envision Internet 4 might be?
Internet 4, you know what? I think we're kind of almost there. I think it's going to be the combination of Web 3, the Internet of Value, with decentralized social media. Because right now, we're using Web 2 technology to share information about Web 3, right? Like podcasts, like the Blocky Sport that Cash and I started, your medium here. Like this is all like, you know, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. These are all Web 2 technologies that we're using to spread Web 3 values. But it would be, the next evolution is going to be when we can use these distributed technologies to communicate. So we don't have to have a centralized authority who controls what content will be shared, you know, your news feed, these algorithms, right? Why is there a coder in Palo Alto that gets to decide which information you get to see? Why is that person the most valuable? Like, this is a person just who wrote code. And this is what Cash and I talk all about too, is the cypherpunks code creates value.
The code that like actively makes people depressed that Facebook wrote, that the code that they know about,
that they know about.
Yeah,
they know it makes people depressed and they still put it out. It's going to be like the cigarette companies, like Philip Morris. They knew cigarettes were bad for you, but they still pushed them. And like that's what Facebook and Meta and Zuck is doing.
Well, the history of advertisement is the history of making people unhappy so that they consume ever more unnecessary product.
The original sin of the internet for these Web 2 companies is they made their business model based on marketing and advertising. That's the horrible part. They monetized on advertising, and that's why we have the internet that we have now. And that was a mistake. And now we're going to fix it with Web 3, or at least we're going to try, unless the government, you know, messes up. But the thing is, crypto is location agnostic, right, Cash?
It'll go anywhere, and that's why we love what Andrew Yang's doing. He's doing some pretty cool forward-thinking.
Andrew Yang. He was at so we were at ETH Denver about a month ago for Ethereum conference, and Andrew Yang literally just stopped by. He just dropped into the conference. He wasn't even scheduled to be there, and he got on stage and he literally said, "It's fucking Andrew Yang, bitches." Literally, I swear to God, is what he did. And he gets crypto, and he's a cool dude. And they changed the schedule to have him on there. And his big message was like, "Yo, Biden's gonna drop that executive order." This was like a month ago, so this is before it. He's like, "You got like 1 to 2 weeks until Biden drops the executive order on digital assets and cryptocurrency regulation, and y'all need to get your shit together because you have about a year now where all these agencies, the SEC, the Commodities Exchange, the Treasury Department, Janet Yellen, Gary Gensler, all these people, Jerome Powell, the Fed, they're all going to be researching crypto for the next year. And now, in about a year from now, the rules are going to get written. And when the rules get written, they're written. And we have about a year to kind of influence what the rules are. And it's not a bad thing. And this is what Andrew Yang's message was. It was like, okay, he actually said to the audience, like, raise your hand if you think if we just let DC just do its thing, they're gonna get crypto regulation right. And no one raised their hand. And he's like, see, yes, if we just let them to their own devices, they're gonna fuck it up. So y'all need to get involved. I know you're all, political, have a lot of political apathy. You don't want to deal with DC, but you know what? It's a game, and if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I ran for president. I understand how this was. So this is Andrew Yang telling us what's up. So we got to get involved. He started Lobby 3 DAO, and that's a DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization, and he sold NFTs for people to be a member. They have a Discord. They're going to do events. He gets it. He's one of the people who gets that crypto can be really cool, but you know what? It needs some structure. It needs some regulation. So the players, the big players, the big money, the people who really want to push it forwards, they need some guardrails for them to feel comfortable. Or you have a lot of these institutions that manage people's retirements and pensions. They have rules. They can't just go in ape into some NFT Bored Ape on a whim, right? They need to have some of these guardrails in place before they can do that. So, regulation is coming, and this is important because I want the U.S., I want us here, we're leading the innovation of it. It should happen here in the U.S., right? If the U.S. comes down with some really stupid legislation that restricts the industry, then you know what? It's not going to go away. It's going to go somewhere else.
Now, is there any form of regulation that you could see is good, or is all regulation inherently bad?
No, we need regulation. There's, like the Cash said, there's a lot of scams, and we need to protect. I want my mom to feel comfortable buying crypto, right? And that's not there yet because it's unregulated in a lot of ways. So there needs to be smart regulation. But you think about this, okay? The best part of Andrew Yang's speech at East Denver is he had a little Q&A afterwards, and this sweet girl got up and she asked the question. It's like, okay, Andrew Yang, I hear you. I hear your message. I hear what you're saying. We need to get involved. Okay, but where are the gaps in understanding? Is it in education? Is it in the functionality? Is it in the why is crypto not making it? What are the talking points we need to talk to Congress to make people understand? And he literally just started cracking up on stage. Oh my God. And then he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at you, to the girl. I'm just laughing because it's just it's not a gap. It's a chasm. First of all, it's a chasm of understanding. And he's like, you have to understand the median age of someone in the Senate is 65 years old. The median age of someone in the House of Representatives is 56. And if you mention token to them, NFT, cryptocurrency, blockchain, they look at you like you have 4 heads. He's like, that's how much of a hill you have to climb. So that's why y'all need to play the game, and you need to support. And a lot of people who are into crypto that have got in early, they have money. That's the thing. It's crypto people are very passionate, and a lot of them have a lot of money. And when you have money and you're passionate, you know what? You can make shit happen in DC. And so he's just trying to inspire people to speak up for our values. We do live in a democracy, and it's not just in DC. It's your local politicians. You can get involved at your local place or tweet at your senators. We have Brad Sherman. He's a representative in Malibu, California District, I think 35, and he's been in Congress for I think 100 years, and no one likes him. He's one of those curmudgeons. And he hates crypto, he hates Bitcoin, he hates NFTs, he hates Web3. And you know who's running against him? Erica Rhodes. She's amazing. She's a young African-American woman. She's an elementary school teacher who just got fed up with this guy. She's not a politician. She's going door to door. She's raised over $300,000 just going door to door. You know what? She's giving him a run for the money. He was like, oh, I'm a shoo-in. I don't have to try. And this girl is going to kick his fucking ass. And she's pro-Bitcoin. She's pro-crypto. So, she just saw an opportunity. She's like, no, I'm going to step up. And that's the thing. It's let's get these dinosaurs that are not, they're just collecting rent, and they're not looking at the future, right? And that's the thing. It's what kind of future do you want your kids and your to grow up in? We need to think about the future, and we have a tool. It's maybe not perfect. It's rough around the edges, but you know what? We don't have much other, innovations happening. Web3, crypto is one of the most powerful innovations we've had in years, and it can solve all these things that Cash is talking about, regenerative finance. So to not give it a good shot would be like, wow, okay, well, that was an opportunity we just passed.
Well, and then what I love, what Andrew Yang
We
said.
got a question here.
Yeah. You got a question?
If you were to, like, your mom wanted to refinance her house and you were going to invest that in crypto, what would you choose and, like, how would you do it?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, if mom wanted to invest in crypto, refi the house, go all in crypto. Well,
She should buy one of Kaya's NFTs if she really wants to invest.
Yeah, we got a really cool NFT artist right next to you. We're all in ETH. We love Ethereum. It has the smart contract type functionality. There's a lot of good ones out there, but the smart contract.
This is not financial advice.
Yeah, this is not financial advice. And that's a great segue. What I was gonna say, what I love Yang saying is like, just show us functionality. Show us people actually using this technology
To their benefit.
Yeah.
Make real people's lives better with Web3. And that's what we need to do as soon as possible. And it's starting to happen. I mean, we're making people's lives better here with Web3 with the scavenger hunt. So that's what we're trying to do. We're showing there's value in this technology. But just like in the early internet, it was like a toy, right? Everyone's like, what? I don't care about the internet. I'm not going to mess with email. And now you don't even think about using the internet. It's just part of your life now. And that's what crypto is going to be. Right now, it's something you have to think about when you use. But there's going to be a time where you're just going to be, and you're not even going to know, right? You don't know which protocol you use when you use the internet. You just open your phone and do stuff, right? And like that's the same thing. Like in the future, you're not going to care whether it's on Solana or Ethereum or whatever blockchain it is. It's not going to matter. You're not even going to think about it. You're just going to open up your phone and do your app and do your thing. But what we want to make sure is that when you're doing your stuff, that infrastructure is also being reinvested in public goods and in the environment and ecology and social justice.
Yeah, well, and like you said, not every blockchain is created equal. Like, there are decentralized blockchains. There's also the Facebook blockchain that you don't want to have all your data on. So,
We want
yeah.
to own the infrastructure as a swarm,
Yeah.
not one entity owning the infrastructure.
Yes, he said own the infrastructure as a swarm, and that's it. We're hive minding. We're hive minding as a community, right? Like community is a big part of Lucidity, and that's what's awesome about crypto too. It's opt-in. Anyone can join. It's permissionless. That means you don't need permission.
Right, yeah, you couldn't have redlining in crypto, like that human bias that restricts entry. Can't have that in crypto.
So anyone who wants to get involved can get involved, and it's your choice. No one's forcing you, and that's what's amazing too, is that you don't have to. You can say, oh, fuck it, I'm not gonna mess with crypto, and that's cool too, right? So here we go, we got a question.
So, decentralized, what about Monero?
What about what?
Monero?
He said decentralization, what about Monero?
Well, Monero is decentralized, right? Completely. And anonymous, and probably, I don't know, regulation, but what you're talking about is Monero.
Well, yes. Well, there's different kinds of crypto, like you said, right? So there's centralized things that are like crypto banks, like Coinbase. That's a crypto exchange, but that's custodial, right? That's like just like JP Morgan Chase or Ameritrade, because they hold your assets for you. These decentralized finance, which what you're talking about, Monero, it's DeFi, where you take custody of your own assets.
Yeah, you're like your own bank. You could have Steve
You
TV
own
Bank.
your own bank, and you own your own stuff. Not your crypto, not your private keys, it's yours. And that's what's important, is that you're like, no one, like, think about this. If you take your bank credit card, right now we linked it to our wristbands here, and you go to swipe your thing, you're asking Wells Fargo or JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America to, hey, can I spend my own money? Literally, you're asking permission to spend your own money. By the way, it's not your money, it's Bank of America's holding it for you and putting your name. Bank of America says, I owe Cash Upton whatever amount he has in his bank account. And then when he goes to swipes his card, Cash Upton saying, Bank of America, you know that IOU that you have under my name? Can I spend some of that and increase or decrease my IOU? And they say yes or no. That's kind of weird. Why can't you spend your own money without permission? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked. I shut down my Bank of America account like a year ago.
Cash is going bankless. So, that's the thing, is if you want to take custody of your own financial freedom, become really sovereign. And that's another really part and value, I think, of this festival, and a lot of burners here is be independent, be sovereign, and be self-reliant. And if you're relying on some big corporation, you have to ask permission to do your own financial transactions, that's just another choke point where people can squeeze you. So MetaMask is a wallet that you can use. MetaMask is an app you get on your iPhone right now. That'll get you a crypto wallet. You can download that. Anyone can download that. All you need is a smartphone. And this Phantom, which is a Solana wallet, you can also use that, because Solana is what we're using here on the at this event. But the thing is like when you move your assets to your wallet, you have to make a 12-word seed phrase. That represents your private keys, aka like your password to your wallet. And no one can take that away, and no one has that. If you forget it, you're kind of shit out of luck, actually, you know? And there's people who have like over $200 million of Bitcoin, and they lost their seed phrase and it's stuck in their wallet, and they can't get it out. So that is a big problem.
On metal, it just...
Yeah, you can, these metal things you can tap in.
Seeds, I engrave them in metal.
Yes, yeah, wallet security is important.
If you're going to do this, engrave your seed.
Engrave it in metal. That way if there's a fire or something...
Stick it in a wall or something.
Yeah. So what these seed phrases use is they use this special kind of coding, essentially, where it's words that represent numbers. There's like a certain amount of words that are in there. So you can take these metal discs with a punch card. You can buy them online, and you can punch in this four numbers that correspond to every word that could be in a seed phrase, and you punch them into these metal cards like he's talking about. And so that way, if there's a fire or a flood or something, and you can't lose them because they're metal, and it's good to maybe make two, put one at like your mom's house and one at your place,
Tell
you know.
the closest level.
Yeah.
One or two people, maybe.
Yeah, one or two, or you could even separate them. You could have like half of them. You could have like two of them over at one person's house and two of them at yours, something like that if you want to be really secure. But the important thing is to understand is that you're taking control of your own financial security and your own financial wealth and health, and that does take some responsibility, right? What did Spider-Man say?
With great responsibility
With great power
comes great responsibility.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, boys.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question over here on the left.
Is this all outside of the IRS?
Great question. Is this outside of the IRS?
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of being treated as like a selling of stock. Like if you buy crypto, you're cool, but if you sell it, you kind of got to report gains. Is kind of what
So
we've heard.
the way it works-
No financial advice.
Not financial advice, but so what the IRS can track is they can track the bridges, right? The on-ramps and off-ramps, right? So if you want to go from the world of fiat to the world of decentralized finance, you have to go through a bridge. So it means like a crypto exchange, like a crypto bank. So like Coinbase, Kraken, these FTX, you know, you might have been, you know, heard about these, Binance. These are all bridges. You have to go in and out of the legacy financial system to the decentralized financial system. And the government is like, well, we like choke points because if we can just put our thumb right here, squeeze there, suck all the information we need. So that's what the government regulates, and they do a thing called KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer. So when you make an account on Coinbase, you have to like take your ID, take a picture with it, blah, blah, blah. And that's how the IRS can get you. So they can get you when you exit the legacy financial system. They don't really care that much. I mean, Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo don't like that because they've actually seen a significant amount of money leave their reserves and go to DeFi. But it's on the way home, right? So if you need to go from crypto, from DeFi back to your JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, your regular bank account, that when you go cross that bridge back into your bank account, the IRS can see that and they can report that as income, right? So that's like the choke point right now. There's decentralized. What the key is, if you can go to DeFi and you can stay in DeFi, you can do what you want, right? It's just when you exit back into legacy financial system that you're at the whim of whatever regulation system you're in. And that's why that's why a lot of crypto companies are based in Singapore or in Puerto Rico, because there's a lot of different regulation laws, or in Berlin. You know, a lot of crypto has moved out of the US, at least where they're headquartered, because exactly what you said, with the IRS and all this kind of stuff here in the US. So they go abroad, and Cash and I just don't want to see that happen, because we want this innovation to happen in the US, because we want these jobs, this wealth, this opportunity, and this culture to happen in the US. The US is always a leader in tech. Like Web 2 happened in the US. Google is US. Meta is US. We say what you want about Zuck, but at least it's in the US. Twitter, Jack Dorsey, US. Like, so we want all this stuff to be in the US. We want to be leaders in this ecosystem. But if we get the regulation wrong, it's not going to go away. It's just going to go away from our shores and go to other countries. And so we want the innovation and the opportunity to be here, because we're already in the lead. The US is leading, so why would we want to give it up?
Well put.
How are we looking on time?
It is 1 o'clock, 1:04.
So.
Oh, we got another question,
Another
sir.
question. We'll do a couple more questions.
To centralized network, how do you guys feel about XRP?
Talk about centralized versus decentralized and XRP. That's the Ripple, right, Colin?
What does
XRP
XRP stand for?
It's just an acronym.
No, what XRP?
It's a crypto token. It's a crypto network. It's a blockchain network that allows for payments across the world. They ran into some trouble with the SEC. They had a lawsuit, and it looks like it's being resolved. But it's kind of, to be honest, I think it's kind of a dead blockchain. There's not a lot of development on it. And if you want to, like the alpha, when you look at blockchains, is you got to look where the developers go. My brother's a developer on Solana, because if there's no one building on it, then there's nothing happening on it, right? There's no apps, right? Can you imagine going to the App Store and having like 3 apps? Would you want to like use Apple? Or you go into Netflix and there's 3 movies? No, that's boring, right? So people use blockchains that people are developing stuff on because there's stuff to do, right? If you go on Solana, you can do decentralized finance, you can buy NFTs, you can do yield farming, which is a way of aggregating yield. So there's stuff you can do. If you go on XRP, there's very little you can do except send payments, but you can send payments on any blockchain. So they don't have like a unique thing, and the innovation's moving so quickly in this space, it's very easy to get left behind if there's no software developers building on your chain. So the real message here is follow the developers, because the developers, if they don't like your ecosystem, the developers are very smart, right? The software engineers, these people that are building these blockchains, if they look at your technology and they don't see opportunities for them to build and make a living, they're not going to invest their time and their energy coding on your chain. Because why would you build something on a place that's not going to evolve?
Yeah, and then just what you mentioned about like choke points and centralized versus decentralized blockchains. If it's more decentralized, it means there's just more thousands of people or whatever validating the nodes and the transactions. So that's what we're always trying to be a proponent of, so that there's fail safes and there's not just one person like Zuck on the Facebook metaverse blockchain that can turn it on or off. The people control it when it's decentralized.
It's all about taking away like that one person that can be corrupted, right? Removing that corruptibility.
Trustless.
Right? Yeah. Or trusting code. But, right? Not have this one centralized decision maker who can say yes or no. We're going to ban you from our platform. Or we're going to take this much money from your content, like YouTube or Facebook, right? Now it could be voted on by the community, right? And these are DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. So you could have say, okay, we want to do this decision. Imagine on Facebook, if we wanted to ban someone, everyone on Facebook had an opportunity to weigh in and vote, and then that's how you would choose to remove someone's content or not, rather than just like having one person at the top or some algorithm just arbitrarily decide. Any other questions out there? Pete, I think you have a question.
Doge.
He asked about Dogecoin. So, Pete, I think you made a really good point, because Dogecoin is a meme, right? It's a meme coin.
Memetic.
People hate on it because Dogecoin is literally, they took the same code as Bitcoin and they copy and pasted it, and they put a cute dog and they made it Dogecoin.
It's the cute
But it's
dog.
literally the same exact code infrastructure as Bitcoin. And this is all about open source software, right? That's another part of this equation, is that all of this is like open source, Creative Commons license, like anyone can take it, edit it, build from it. So someone made a funny thing with Dogecoin, but the thing is, people are like, why is it going up? Why does it have value? It has value because we all believe it has value. That's a meme, right? And money is a meme. Money is probably one of the most important memes we have. But as Homo sapiens, that's what separates us from animals, is that we can coordinate. We can create imagined realities that we all agree upon. Right? Lucidity is an imagined reality that we all agree upon, and it brings us here. We expend real world assets, hard money, time, and labor for this imagined reality that brings us here. And that's what makes humans amazing and cool, right? Like, look how cool we are. We make this. Humans are freaking rad.
You're inside of a television right now, dude.
That's right. This is the Steve TV show, by the way. The mighty Zenith. Steve TV.
Steve TV.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, well, I gotta ask. You told me last night when we were hanging out you're a skeptic. Are you a little bit less now?
I'm a little tired. I have to, I sometimes digest information better when I read it.
Well, let's have a follow-up next year.
Okay.
We'll check back in next year.
Well, or sooner.
Well, yeah, sooner too. Yeah, Steve TV can be. We can do this anywhere, huh? I mean,
Well, I have this dream of setting this up in my work studio, and
well, yeah, no, and let's get you some NF Steves.
And Steve's an
Let's get
NFT
you.
project coming to
Let's
you.
get Steve TV DAO. Let's make the Steve TV DAO. And
Steve TV DAO. Let's get you Web3 DAO.
Yeah, let's get you that DeFi, baby.
that would make me more of a believer.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I'm a natural
Practical
skeptic.
applications. Let's actually have it work for you.
I'm more of a big city skeptic sometimes.
Let's do
like,
it.
I don't know, but I like everything you guys are saying, definitely.
Yeah, we had
Well,
so much
Steve,
fun.
we really appreciate you having us on, and you know what you're building here is amazing. You know, creating this platform, and this is what it's all about: is sharing these ideas, and that's what Cash and I are all about: is education, right? We just want to educate people. There's a lot of bad information, a lot of people shilling stupid stuff when it comes to crypto, Web3, blockchain, all that, and we just want to be a clear-eyed source of honest discourse, right? We're not pushing any agenda. We just want to give people real honest discourse and discuss these topics without an ulterior motive of trying to sell you some crap. And that's what you created here, and we really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for having us on. Definitely come check us out at the Reliquary Lounge, and the Block Explorer is really happy to be on the podcast, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
What time is it? What time's the hunt?
The hunt is ongoing the
hunt's
entire
on.
festival. You can join anytime. It's permissionless and decentralized.
And it must end soon, right? I mean,
Midnight tonight, you know.
It ends, I think, once we start removing the
Once you
metaverse
start breaking
portals.
down. Come visit the lounge, though. You can
all
you
the
can
way until
still get
tomorrow
in the lounge.
morning. You're gonna break down tomorrow morning, or
Yes,
tonight?
sir. It'll be
Yeah.
open tonight. It'll be open
All
tonight.
through the night.
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go. All through the night. People start to leave. Is there gonna be an announcement of a winner or something? Or?
Well, people have been coming by all weekend. When you do the hunt and you interact your phone with the kiosk, it will tell you what you win, and you have it. And it's
nice.
permissionless. You have that digital representation of this ticket for next year. It's an NFT. The NFT represents next year's ticket, so you can't lose it. It's on the blockchain. Even the Chinese government
Can't shut down the server.
Body Chow, go check him out. He's awesome. Chinese protest artist.
All right, you guys are great.
BADIUCO.
Stop by
Steve.
anytime. We'll put you on the show.
We loved it, Steve. We loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We loved it.
Yes, Steve.
Mr. Collins.
Oh, Mr. Collins.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of our
Thank you for
wonderful
coming to our
listeners. Thank you for the interaction.
Happy Sunday, Lucidity. Let's go. Last day.
show.
Steve TV.